Hey guys, welcome to Unger the Radar. I'm your host Randy Unger, and this is where we discuss all things film. And I want to welcome my wonderful panel of guests today, my guest film critics.
Yeah, we're here.
Mr. Chris Clemente.
How's it going?
Hey,
How's it going, Randy?
Good. Michele
De Maria.
Yes, good man. And Mr. Josh Bartnick. Hello, welcome back.
What was my name?
Josh Bartnick.
Josh?
Oh, John
We're
Bartnick.
such good friends. He's named me something different.
My sincerest apologies.
It was perfectly fine. Yeah.
How's everyone going today?
Everyone's
You're
going
like such a dirty
good.
girl now. Just call me whatever you want.
Doing good. It's always great to be here, Andy. We're doing like a retrospective today, which is kind of nice. So,
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, cool.
Because it is International Tom Hanks Day. Well, Tom Hanks weekend.
Yeah.
We're a day late. We're celebrating as a belated Tom Hanks Day.
No, we're just stretching it out.
Yeah,
you
I know.
Yeah, no, it's we're celebrating the man, the legacy that is Thanks.
Indeed.
We're giving thanks to Hanks.
We're giving a little hanky-panky.
Hanksy Banksy. But before we get into Tom Hanks,
Yes.
We have a lot to talk about. First off, we're going to be discussing the new Steven Spielberg epic adventure, Ready Player One, and basically it takes place in the relatively near future,
2045.
something like that. Yeah.
2045.
Do you guys remember
In the
when like
stacks.
In the stacks.
I remember when seeing like 2020 appear on like the future of movies back in the day. I was like, oh my god, that's like so far into the future.
Takes 2019.
Yeah.
1997 was also a very popular year.
Mm-hmm.
They used that in Predator 2, Escape from New York, Demolition Man.
Yeah,
It's like, why?
Now it's like
We all
2045.
remember 1997, that like horrific apocalypse that happened to New York and LA. Thank God we recovered.
Yeah,
though.
thank you.
Like, it was really quick though.
Yeah, we managed to bounce back. Now we're dealing with aliens and monsters. But we're okay.
We should just stop dating things in movies and just say the near future.
There you go.
Because then you could watch it constantly and be like, well, you were wrong.
Right.
So this movie, basically, it's the future.
It
And
is.
everyone is hooked on this video game world where they can live out their fantasies pretty much.
Yes.
And this young kid, Parzival is his code name. Played by Ty Sheridan.
Great in Mud.
Yeah.
Loved him in Mud.
I remember him in Joe with Nicolas Cage.
Also a great movie.
Yeah, he's a decent actor. He's still young.
Yeah.
2021 or something.
Something like
He's just getting started.
Funny enough, in the trailers, I thought that was the kid from the Fantastic Four remake who played Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And just recently, they're like, "No, you're wrong and you're stupid."
What was his? Oh, yeah. He was in Whiplash.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Miles
Davis? Teller.
Yeah.
Miles
Davis.
Davis.
Yeah.
That's a different film.
Not
I'm
quite
doing great with names today.
Yeah. Oh my god. You're like me today.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm like, oh, it's is that Bill Braxton? No, it's Jennifer Henley. Anyway, those are fake names, by the way. Anyway.
But he was an okay. He was an okay hero in this. He anchored the film relatively well.
He was fine. He was good. Yeah, like he wasn't memorable for me, but like he's a solid hero. Like I could see him definitely blossoming into better roles. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I thought Olivia Cook, the love interest in this, was really good.
Yeah.
She was actually in
The
a movie.
Fish Woman.
Yeah. Thoroughbreds. Yeah.
The Fish Woman.
She's
right?
pretty good. She
Fish
was
Woman?
also in that show Bates Motel.
Oh, she was in that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No.
She's also like starting and getting like she's doing very well. She's a pretty good actress.
She's definitely talented.
Great, solid character. Just her character kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of cocky.
Well, no, it's just like they were like, oh, this is this hideous person. That's why she needs to have an avatar. And then you look at her in real life, and it's like she's pretty. She just has like a little birthmark.
A birthmark. Yeah. You know what? Personally, though, I kind of relate to it because whenever I have a stack of $1 million bills, just like just bags, and I get a little bit of coffee on it, it just ruins the whole stack. Like I get it. Like,
That's it.
I hated that like cliche. Like, oh, you'd be disappointed if you showed me in the real world.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have a pimple.
Yeah.
Okay. It was like, a little birthmark.
It's like glasses, right? You take off the glasses.
It's just like, don't try and convince me that these people are hideous. Meanwhile, they're gorgeous in real life.
Right. That's kind of like, it goes with your ET hatred, right?
It just annoyed the crap out of me. That was one of the big flaws of it. Of like, oh, we're ugly in real life.
Yeah,
I'm
not so
hideous.
much. Yeah.
Not
It's
at
just
all.
like, wow, you look like you could be a
real supermodel.
that one. What he said, supermodel. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not good with the big word.
It's okay. I'm not good with names.
Yeah. Just remember, I'm Joe Bartnick.
Good point, Josh. Good point.
It will change every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's based on a book.
Yeah. It's a novel by Ernest Cline. I haven't. Have you? Any of you guys read it?
No, I saw it with my friend that did read the book. They said that they changed his short reviews. That they changed a lot of things for the movie. They simplified a lot of the storylines to make it fit into the movie, which makes sense. But he enjoyed it. Like he obviously likes the book better.
Yeah,
it's much more complicated. And I agree. Like the story is very very simple. To be honest, it's it's fantastically made. Like,
right.
Steven Spielberg is that craftsman. Like
it's a standard adventure, but the way he pulled it off. Yeah.
Especially from his last film, which was the BFG.
Yeah,
the
big
Post,
friendly giants.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The Post. Like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
The Post is so good.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like too.
Can we just talk about Spielberg for one quick second?
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about how he bashed Netflix?
Yes.
On how it's
that's it. He's cut off from that chain.
He doesn't respect Netflix, and they should stick to Netflix, and they shouldn't run for like an Oscar or anything like that. I thought it was hilarious. He said that. Wow. He's just like, streaming should be streaming, and that's it. Let us be the movie makers and make movies and have it nominated for Oscars. How long was the Post in theaters for? Like 3 weeks? The required minimum for an Oscar? That's interesting. Like I found that really hypocritical. Like, okay.
Yeah, he totally cut himself off from that line of profit.
I think he was in post-production for Ready Player One, because obviously it's all animation, motion capture, so it took a long time to post-produce. And during post-production, he got a hold of the Post's script, and he rushed production and rushed everything, and he filmed and post-produced and got and edited the Post before Ready Player One was actually.
And I think the Post is a better movie.
Oh, much better.
Maybe because he was running on all cylinders, it made the Post that much better.
I mean, that's kind of comparing salad to
I know.
lasagna.
That's true.
It's funny that you say
ice cream cake.
Yeah, better.
Two very different things.
Ice cream and cake.
Yeah,
like the
ice cream.
Obviously, I will go with the ice cream cake 9 times out of 10.
Well, he usually does the epic movie and then the really serious drama. Sometimes he does it in the same year, like he did with Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in '93.
Not to get off scope though, do you know what his next movies are going to be?
His next movie.
Get ready for this. Ready? Do you guys know?
E.T. 2: The Return.
Jaws 5.
Indiana Jones 5.
Oh yes.
And then West Side Story remake.
I heard that. It's gonna be so strange. I don't know.
They should have been smart and named it like East Side.
Sequel.
East Side West Side Story.
The
two popular.
I'm looking forward to Indiana Jones because after the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I'm really looking forward to them hopefully getting closer to the character because I hated that. Guy who made Star Wars, George Lucas. He wrote it as just an alien flick, and I just hate that about the character. Like it's always had supernatural, but never been interstellar.
Right.
So,
do we know much about the plot of this one, or is it too early to tell?
No. It's just
Harrison Ford crashes a plane 95% sure.
In real life too. Yeah. No,
that's how he gets the set.
I think they're just planning it for a release date in 2019. So
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sound ageist, but the man is 75 years old. Like he can't be running around, jumping.
Yeah, but he could get more women than you.
That's
the guy behind the camera can. We could have a year, and he'll have 3 days. He will floor our numbers.
I feel like Harrison Ford's quality of work has increased. I feel like he's more involved than he was 10 years ago.
But he's redone every.
That's true too.
Main character that he's played.
He hasn't done anything original.
10 years.
That's true.
He's a great actor, but have you ever seen him in the Tonight Show interviews?
He is very, very stiff. Yeah.
I feel like he's been less stiff though. I think something personally has went on that he's less stiff now. So maybe. Being
married to Calista Flockhart.
Yeah, maybe.
That earring. Yeah, he's very hip.
Yeah, he is. Anyway, back to
Ray. I kind of enjoying the Harrison Ford talk.
I know. We're all over the place. Let me ask you guys this. Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course.
How did you guys think that the real world compared with the Oasis world plot lines?
It is really hard to say what I'm going to say without like trying to say a spoiler. I thought the IOI was the police force in the movie until a long while into the movie, all of a sudden there's one police car. I'm like, oh, there's police in this unit. Okay. Like, I was super confused. Like, I thought they were, like, the militaristic, like, crappy future police. And it turns out there's, like, NYPD Blue still. But I just felt like through the movie, they maybe, you know, in the real world, you should have saw it like, hey, oh, look, a cop car, give him a ticket, something. Yeah. Because I had no clue police existed in this universe.
Yeah.
You're talking about the agents, kind of like stormtroopers?
Yeah.
Their goal was to complete the test.
You get the Easter egg. Yeah. This is a movie about Easter eggs with hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of Easter eggs in it.
Yeah.
And it's just like the Easter eggs have Easter eggs.
Yeah. Right. We can't talk about them though, right?
No, but the fact
I don't know. There's one I gotta talk about. I don't know if it's an Easter egg, but it was the whole Shining sequence.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was so good.
That was awesome. Oh my gosh.
So basically, guys, it's a scene where they're in the Oasis. They're in this virtual reality, and at one point they randomly get sucked into the Shining. They're basically in the Shining.
Yeah. And there's a reason behind it. I thought the lead up, the reasoning behind that was kind of cool. You know, kind of this mixture of the creator's life, who is played by who?
Mark Rylance.
Oh, love him.
Great actor.
I think he's great.
He won Best Supporting for
Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies,
yeah.
Another Spielberg movie.
Very good movie.
Not to sidetrack from what we're seeing now, but I thought his character was great. Like just this like kind of not self-absorbed in the sense of pretentious, but just
vision.
Like he's just like a gamer coder type of mentality.
Himself because he didn't know how to interact with the world.
Socially inept.
The whole point of the movie is like the geek culture in this universe is like being a god. Like so it's the ultimate geek fantasy.
Yes.
To know your shit about like 1980s references and movies puts you above everyone else.
Right.
So the novel and the movie and the main character is his superpower is to be a geek.
Yeah.
And in that sense, his heaven is a place where all the things that he thinks are fun and referential are part of his everyday universe. And it's a spectacle. Like the movie, like Steven Spielberg knows how to make a film. Like it's insane how well crafted it is. It's incredible.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a very simple story with a very simple goal, and it's just like scene after scene.
But the way it looks is just insane.
It's kind of like a digital road trip movie almost. Yeah. You know.
And did any of you guys see it in 3D?
No, I saw it in
I don't see 3D very well, and it's just annoying.
We don't see
I'd rather pay $10 compared to like $35 and a pint of blood.
But I do recommend this movie in 3D.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've actually been like, wow, this really works.
For me, the WoW 3D movie was Hugo.
Hugo. Oh,
Martin Scorsese. Yeah.
Really? No, I'm a Gravity kind of. Like Gravity on 3D was amazing.
Nice.
I feel like you didn't have to. Like the sound was more prevalent in that.
So I mean, changing from Gravity to
that's what we did.
I think the story is also like kind of very simple. It's just it's kind of like one survive and that's
survival in space.
So there's not a lot that going on than being in this vast space.
It's just all about the visuals.
For me, it was a lot about the visual. Like I mean, the cinematic experience per se. Like if I try to watch it again or in a smaller screen, the movie is not that good.
Yeah.
But the experience of watching it, like for Ready Player One, is more of the made me like the movie more than probably if I had watched it on Netflix.
They should remaster 2001: A Space Odyssey in 3D. I think that'd be pretty insane.
I don't like 3D in general.
No, not okay.
I don't think that.
That's Avatar and Doctor Strange are really good in 3D.
I saw
Well, the key thing in production is that you want to make sure that the camera supports 3D. You know, it's a 3D camera that you're working with.
Yeah.
Because if there was a 2001: Space Odyssey 3D, it wouldn't be fully appreciated because the camera
come off as like Clash of Titans.
Right.
Where it's just post converted and it just looked horrible.
I would rather see like the 1980s 3D of like red and blue. Version of it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, ultimately about the movie, I enjoyed it a lot. I think there were some really great visual scenes in there. The dance scene within that kind of vortex. Yeah.
Did they get like sucked up or something?
They sucked up and out and in.
Strange.
Yeah, there's a lot of sucking going on.
Wait.
Are we talking about the same movie?
Uh-oh.
You know,
I gotta go to your theater.
What's it called? DX? The live motion seats and stuff like that? Yeah, 4DX. There you go.
Did they have this? I don't think they had this for this, the 4DX.
It would have been a great movie to do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like.
I've only done it once. It was for It a couple months ago.
It?
Yeah.
What did they have in It?
It
I mean,
worked.
there's
Like,
a lot of sequences that are in first person and in
Yeah, the chairs shake.
What would you be smelling?
They
though?
spray
like
crap in
like
your
sweaty
face.
nerd.
I don't know. It was just
I
water.
can smell that at home with myself.
But he saw it with the It. With
Yeah. It was weird. It's just a lot of mist.
So you just
Mist,
smell?
okay.
Oh, I would assume you just smell a lot of sewage because it's all in like the sewers.
No
balloon,
sewage.
rubber balloon.
You smell like 50-year-old clown. You know? It just smells like bourbon and like face paint.
Bad dreams. Nice.
But ultimately, like that scene, the Easter eggs, like The Shining, were great.
Oh my god. Can't
yeah,
get over
The
that.
final battle gets really epic.
Right.
And the
Oh, yeah.
characters.
I was also shocked that they didn't like in the trailers. They really didn't show anything of
Right.
like the last half of the movie.
Right.
Which I thought
They
it was
just showed
great.
an action scene from the last.
They just showed the chase sequence with the
Yeah.
cars,
Yeah.
the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Thinking about it
They-
now,
They do show a little bit of the final army in the battle.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
it.
But like
A little
in
bit.
the intro.
Actually-
the trailers focused all on nostalgia, which I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure was the best way to go.
right.
Because going into it, all I knew was, oh, you have to find an Easter egg
Yeah.
and like nothing else.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's really not a whole lot more to the movie,
No,
though.
right,
it's
right.
not.
So
You know, it's interesting. Thinking about it now, it reminds me a lot of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
All the references of
Just
pop
like-
culture.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
references of pop culture, the
That
Easter
was
eggs. Yeah, that was Zemeckis too.
Mhm.
And then Zemeckis Cube. That was
That was-
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
But yeah, there was.
Well, Zemeckis didn't really have anything to do with this. Did
no, but because of his connection with Spielberg,
Spielberg,
that
yeah.
he kind of dropped his name.
That's
in
true.
there.
That's true.
one of my favorite things was when the main character's like, he's like he told her his name,
Yeah.
and his best bud was like, "What are you doing? You can't do that. That might be some 300-pound guy
Yes,
in
yeah.
the basement of his mom's apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, why would you do that?"
And turns
And
out,
the one thing I hate about the movie is you set that joke up perfectly.
yeah,
And there's no payoff. Like the
I thought
main
there was
bad guy,
payoff.
when he if he once like the main bad guy's lost, why didn't you go in and show like because he was who is the guy? who played him?
Ben
but I
Mendelsohn?
think, I think the payoff though was with that character though, because he turned out to be someone completely different. So when
You know about Sorrento? Ben Mendelsohn?
no,
The skull
Oh,
chest.
Oh,
TJ
that-
Miller, yeah.
Oh,
TJ Miller.
he was good. He was
Oh,
from
like-
from Silicon
Like
Valley.
I just feel like it would have been super funny to get him, just have him shoot on set one day in a fat suit, and once his character goes the way of the dinosaur,
That would be funny.
it's
Yeah.
just like, oh,
No.
mother ever, and all of a sudden you hear his mom from upstairs, watch your language, shut up, mom, can I have a hot pocket? You know, like, they set up that
Meatloaf.
joke for twice in the movie,
Yeah.
and like the
Well,
joke
no.
never came.
I think it did pay off for that though, because the character who said it, who is the character from Master of None, she turns out to be what she was explaining. You know, he turns
Yeah.
out to be a she,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that's where the joke pays off because you didn't expect it.
Now let me ask you, like, what your the
Yeah.
movie is very about references from the 90s. It's like pretty much done for the kid, you know.
And
Yeah,
80s.
Yeah.
But it's made for
Pop
adults.
culture, really.
The movie is very child friendly.
Yeah.
Like for most of the story is very simple. The you know the interaction with the characters is like even the dialogues are kind of like very cardboardy, campy. I mean, it's pizza with nachos on top and like M&Ms, and it's everything that you want. And you know it's not healthy.
That is the best review I heard.
You know it's not healthy. Like, but you will enjoy it like while you eat it. You know?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I've discovered two things. I got to go to your movie theater and I have to go to your movie.
Perfect.
But
Pizza with nachos
it's-
and M&Ms.
exactly. It's my point is it's like a kids movie
Yeah.
for adults
Yes.
that understand references from like a kid, an 11-year-old that goes and watches a movie is not going to react as we did for the Shining scene.
Right.
Well, I mean, Spielberg kind of does that through most of his career.
Yeah.
Like even like Indiana Jones, like they were PG,
Right.
so kids could go see it.
Right.
I mean, of course, now it's like PG-13, mostly because of Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom started, and Gremlins, 1984.
And Gremlins, but most of his movies are kid-friendly after, I would say, what, like age 4?
Except
I mean, Schindler's List, no. Like, I strongly suggest you don't show your children that.
But the Purple, maybe.
And the melted faces in Raiders, that's a little...
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's kind of dumbed down, though, because, like, I mean, it looks like a candle melting. You know?
Right.
I guess the first time I saw it, it was like...
Yeah.
But now I've seen it so many times, and it's not like I've seen the movie that many times. It's just that particular scene is so epic and so, like...
It took them a while to get to the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
Some trials and tribulations, but...
Quick sidebar question. Favorite Indiana Jones?
Oh, my God. I like Last Crusade.
Yeah, actually, me too.
It's the most fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's Last Crusade for me too, but forgive me for this, but I don't have as much heart in the franchise as a lot of people.
No, that's fair. I totally get it.
Yeah, like it just I like even looking back, like I'm like, oh, maybe that's why I didn't really like it.
See, mine is Last Crusade, but like just a sliver past Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
My least favorite is actually Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, that's a classic.
It's a classic, but like Raiders and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like tied for like last place.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't compare Crystal Skull.
I remember more from Crystal Skull than I do from Raiders, besides the face melting scene and the bar scene. Granted, that bar scene when he first shows up is like cinematic masterpiece, like movie porn.
What about the mine
card? Porn is movie porn.
The mine car chase scene in Temple.
Oh, it was amazing.
They wanted to put that in the first movie, but they didn't have enough time to put it in. So just let's put it in the sequel.
Yeah.
So and it worked, but it's one of the only.
That's definitely
scenes.
the Empire Strikes Back. Of, like,
Good. Yeah, good comparison.
Yeah.
Side note: I actually rewatched Willow for the recently.
Oh,
I don't know what your stance is on Willow, gentlemen.
I haven't seen it in such a long time.
Okay.
I don't even have a stance anymore.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
In Spanish when I was like.
Did you hear my guttural response of like, oh god,
no. All right.
Yeah, but so is any radar comments on?
I mean, I really liked it. I agree with you guys saying that it was, kind of not formulaic, but just like kind of dull in terms of plot.
I mean, it's based on McGuffins.
Yeah,
it's all about.
I think it's
McGuffins.
It's we've been talking about food porn with food-based movies and porn with your side. I think this has a lot of nostalgia porn.
I'll agree with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a cinematic experience.
Yeah.
I recommend everyone to watch it in the biggest screen possible.
Yes.
It's probably his most summary movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's all things that like you want to see of like explosions. And
I can't think of another Spielberg movie that has been this entertaining. Lately anyway. In the last 10, 15.
No, he's got nothing.
Maybe War of the Worlds, 2005.
That's pretty. I didn't like.
Well, that's the extent.
War of the Worlds?
Yeah.
Minority
Tom
Report
Cruise gets out-acted by a 4-year-old.
It had some great visuals.
I mean,
so it's porn.
It's hard to say. But it's interesting, man. We're just rattling off his filmography. He's made a lot.
Oh
of
my god,
he's never really had a miss.
No,
Big Friendly Giant is like
but still,
but his KD ratio is like 9 to 1. You know,
I mean, he produces like a film or two a year.
Exactly. Yeah, he's always working.
He's the most, I think. Well, he's a star director. He knows how to like the star system and the Hollywood system. He knows how to promote a movie so it goes into the Oscars and how to make it. He knows who to cast. He has all this. He knows how to make an epic action movie.
Yeah.
He knows how. He's a great craftsman. Like whatever movies. Like he might not be innovative in the terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
He's a perfect. He has the perfect formula for a movie, even if it's like a Oscar movie or an action movie.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, I think like I've said this multiple times. I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, and he's the director that says, hey, like the director medium is for young directors, so like that's why he's like 10 and done and that's it.
Yeah.
But then you have like the Spielbergs that are like every year he's just producing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that some years are better than others, but the level of work that he has, I think he's age defying in that sense.
He knows how to craft a good movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, like
40 plus years in the business, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah.
And he will always experiment on how to make this shot even more epic, and like he always he doesn't reinvent the storytelling, but he reinvents the visual telling, and he will always be with the most amazing visual effects if the movie requires visual effects, or the most great actors if it requires great acting.
I just hope they don't screw up the next Indiana Jones.
You know how Shape of Water was like a love letter to movies of like a bygone era? He is that in a director.
Yeah.
Like he takes everything he loved about movies when he was a kid and he tries to put it in every movie. And no matter what, he swings for the fences.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like with Indiana Jones, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like you want to cater to the people that want the movie, that
well, the problem is once you get rid of Nazis, it's really hard to recover from that. Like it's one thing to have like, oh, it's Nazis, then the Temple of Doom, and the Nazis again. It was bookended it.
Yeah, I forget that. Oh, that's true, and that's probably why.
Temple of Doom was just an Indian cult. That sacrificed.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if he's extending, the franchise to 5 films now, it's like there comes a point where it's like you're just giving material to the people that play up for nostalgia.
I feel the way to end number 5 is you have to kill Indiana Jones. But bring back the character of Scruffy McDuffie or Shia LaBeouf's character.
No,
not Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, but
not Shia LaBeouf.
A different actor playing
Chris Pratt.
Oh, okay.
That's been the rumor.
It's past what? It's been 10 years now.
Oh yeah,
10 years. Indiana Jones.
Interesting.
So he's aged and.
Now, does he take a bite out of crime?
Oh, yeah, of course. But I would say you kill Indiana Jones, and well, I guess they were the Last Crusade.
So is Harrison Ford just making his bed right now? He's like, okay, I'm gonna kill off Han Solo.
Yeah.
Did he kill off the guy from Blade Runner? I think that's.
I fell asleep during that. Probably, maybe.
Oh well, I don't want to spoil.
Yeah.
Well,
that was.
It's been out a while. He doesn't die.
He doesn't. But
meets his daughter.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly, he's a replicant from the original.
No, there was a.
That's still,
That's still up for grabs.
I mean, the movie on purpose makes it ambivalent.
Okay.
But it was just like the theory was because of this one scene where his eyes look red.
Right, and the unicorn dream and
like the script writers don't address that. The novel that is based on, like the Android's Dream of Electric Cars, they doesn't address it. Like it's not.
Okay, so
the whole idea is that he's not. That's
so he's still not killed off there.
But like I feel like that would be appropriate because the whole last movie, Kingdom of Crystal Skull, he was kind of a whiny bitch.
Williams,
No, Indiana.
Indiana.
Junior was a little whiny bitch. He complained that like his father died, even though he drank from the cup of life. His friend died. Like he was like, "Oh, I'm all alone. Everyone's dead." Well, then last thing should be like him being afraid of death, and like at the end being okay with it.
Okay, like just like a suicide mission.
Or like
you don't want to get too dark. But basically,
like flying to the volcano type of thing.
Or going to Vietnam. Like he has a military record, so but he would have been super old.
Yeah, good luck. You don't need Spielberg to rewrite that one.
So anyway, all right, wrapping up the Spielberg talk.
Good segue.
Thank you.
I like this.
Top 3 favorite Spielberg films of all time.
Oof.
John.
Start with me.
Yes.
Shit.
We can get back to you.
E.T.
It could also be produced.
Can I grab one of these
Goonies.
real quick? Number 1 has to be Jaws. Because I watched that from when I was 2 years old. And I used to sit in front of the TV with a big fishing rod, and every time I saw the fin, I would reel that son of a bitch in. You know. So Jaws is number one. It's probably his best movie, I feel, because all the hindrances while filming it enhanced that movie.
Right, wasn't
Because
that
he wanted
the
double
mechanical
the shark
shark?
amount.
The mechanical shark was like really
The shark
glitchy.
always malfunctioned.
Yeah.
So if you had double the shark, it wouldn't have the same feel. And the score, dun dun,
Of course.
is simple.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Number two, Last Crusade.
Nice.
Well, Indiana Jones, because it's
As
really
a
one
whole.
story.
Okay.
You know, I feel kind of like with Star Wars, you can't be like, oh, well, Empire's better than Last Jedi or whatever. It's one story arc. So Jaws, Indiana Jones, and then Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Probably.
The
So you're
first
more
one.
into like the action Spielberg.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like fat. I smoke. I don't want a depressing film on top of me. Like, I mean,
Okay.
I can be depressed all on my own. I don't need a score to help me. Like,
No, all power to you.
But no, I'm all for like fantasy and action.
Yeah.
Very much like my video game habits is I don't play sports games or racing games. Like I could potentially join the army and shoot someone from another country, or I could play baseball. Why am I going to play that? But I can't go to another planet and have superpowers. That's how I feel with like movies. Like I want to be taken out of this world and put
You're a
into
realist.
Gotcha.
You're a realist.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Jurassic Park for sure.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
one of if not my
Number one.
favorite, like one of my favorites for sure. I think The Color Purple is one of his best movies. I love The Color
Excellent
Purple.
film.
I saw it at school. They showed it like in middle school.
It's
and
so
then
depressing.
I know. And then I rewatched it again, like not so long ago, but I guess like a few years ago, and it's great. It's a great movie. I don't know. The third one, I think Jaws. I mean, Jaws is like a perfect movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said. The idea of point of view of the point of view scenes, it's just genius. Like you don't see the shark, you see the shark's point of view is even more scary than the actual shark.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh boy. They're so varied, and I forget how much he makes, but definitely Jaws is probably number one.
Yeah.
Like I think like I just watched that not too long ago, and boy does it hold up. You know, like it's scary. You know, it's just great. It's a masterpiece. Jurassic Park, and I think for me, it's a good segue for our next topic. But I love Catch Me If You Can.
Yes.
But also,
that is a great one.
yeah, like
Fun
I could just watch that over and over again.
Yeah,
and
fun.
for me, watchability like that makes a movie. And also Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like that, I just remember watching that, and like that was like when like DVD like was like
Yeah.
And I remember we had like the surround sound, and like you just hear.
You just heard.
The
same
bullets
thing with
whizzing.
my
That's
experience
the
with
movie.
surround sound. I was like,
Yeah.
It's like brutal.
Yeah.
When you want to test out your sound system, Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
They're actually gonna talking about 4K. They're gonna release a 4K version in May. So yeah.
Saving Private Ryan or anything done by Christopher Nolan.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's surround sound.
Well, like see, like it's like Saving Private Ryan. Like even going through in my head, I'm like, that's right. Spielberg made Saving Private Ryan. I forgot about that. You know.
He won Best Director for that.
Yeah.
The Oscars.
Yeah. So.
CET not on anyone's list.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It might be on mine.
I agree with you. Like I think it's a good movie, and I think I like.
It's literally an alien that's like Rumple Foreskin walking through the whole movie.
It
Like,
definitely has heart, and if you hear Spielberg, there's a great documentary. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix, but it talks.
Spielberg.
Yeah, I highly recommend watching that. It just talks about his life in movie, and like it has a lot of his footage, like talking about his career, and it's great.
I would love to see like a biopic.
He was disconnected from his father for quite some time, and E.T. is a response to that. Like it talks about family, and you know looking at the background about that kind of ups the movie for me. But I think I loved it when I saw it, and I think like a lot of movies you get this nostalgia for it, but like when you watch it again when you're older, it doesn't quite hold up. Yeah.
I hated it as a kid.
Yeah.
You hate it more as an adult.
Yeah.
I'd
Alright.
say
It's like a mean ex-girlfriend who cheated on you. I just that bitch.
I'd say my top 10. I mean, Back to the Future.
Yep.
The whole trilogy. It was
produced
by
Produced,
Spielberg. Produced.
That's like another like episode that we can talk about. Episode. You know, we could do
all three of those movies.
You can talk about Goonies. You could talk about what else?
Tiny Toon Adventures,
Gremlins,
Animaniacs. We can go all over the Spielberg.
You could talk about. You could talk about. You could talk about True Grit.
True Grit.
The Coen Brothers, True Grit.
We need a Coen Brothers episode for sure.
He produced that one. He executive produced that one.
Which one?
True Grit. The Coen
really?
Brothers. Yeah. I remember when it came.
You like what's the original True Grit?
No, John Wayne.
Yeah, John Wayne.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that he's so famous that him just looking at something makes it famous.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I'm not bitter.
Yeah. And that segues to one of his golden boys, Tom Hanks, who's been...
He does have a bit of a Tom Hanks fetish.
He's been using him for a while now.
Saving Private Ryan.
Well, actually, I think it goes back to 1986 when he executive produced The Money Pit.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I just pictured like Spielberg licking Tom Hanks' toes when he just said that.
Or vice versa.
And there go the visuals.
So Tom Hanks,
Tom Hanks,
that guy. Yeah.
So it was Back to the Future.
Back to the Future trilogy. Yes. In Last Crusade. No, Jurassic Park, then Last Crusade. I'd say. Yeah. I also like the action-packed stuff. You know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
But what do you think, drama or action, Spielberg, for you?
I mean, I lean towards one of the action-adventure stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Even though Bridge of Spies and The Post were awesome.
It's about rewatchability, no?
Yeah.
He creates a great movies and everything, but
it's just a fun ride.
I'd rather watch 5 times Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park than like Saving Private Ryan. Like, that.
I own Saving Private Ryan, and I maybe have watched it maybe twice. Tops.
Yeah, but I mean that doesn't mean that it can't be a great movie if you can't watch it. You know, I think there's 2 types of movies: those that you could watch and then rewatch after it's over, and then there's certain ones that are fantastic movies that I can't watch more than once. Like I love Clockwork Orange, but I've never.
Talk about depressing.
I was never able to watch it again.
Forrest Gump.
It's not the type of movie where you're like, hey, honey, let's watch this. You know,
that's a great first date movie.
Violence.
Forrest Gump is like that with me. I see it maybe once a year, if that.
That's good. Yeah,
but it's
was that Spielberg produced?
No, it was Zemeckis.
I know, but was he?
No, Spielberg didn't have anything.
No,
it felt like it did.
It looks it's in the same universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is International Tom Hanks Weekend.
It is.
Man has his own weekend.
He does. Yes. He does. A bunch of guys in Chicago. They started this up about 10 years ago, and it's supporting Tom Hanks' charity plug, Lifeline Energy, and I think it's for impoverished nations of the world.
Yes.
Providing
the proceeds of today's show is actually going
to. That man could just stop doing everything. And he's gonna be remembered as one of the best human beings. Yeah. Like, just as long as he doesn't get found with a dead boy or a live girl in his basement, right. He's set.
He doesn't pull like a Harvey Weinstein.
He could run for president right now.
Yeah.
He should. There's no presidential election. He would win.
Right. He could and should.
He could and should.
He has played a politician before. He did Charlie Wilson's War.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yes. It was a decent movie. It was a fun movie.
Like, I feel like his running campaign would be like, well, I fought in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I helped create Disney. Yeah. You know, just like everything. Like, you're right, you did do that. We have video footage. Yeah.
I gotta pay. Yeah. I gotta run for president. So, what are some of your favorite Hanks movies?
Hanks.
We'll start this way.
Yeah.
Oh, my turn. My turn.
You're up.
Oh, because you meant this way. All right, Tommy. Forrest Gump is up there. Although I know people that hate his acting in Forrest Gump because of the accent.
Greenbow, Alabama.
Jenna. Yep. Castaway is up there for me. League of Their Own.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
I think he plays a good bitter guy in there, but it's likable. Yeah.
I think that was the first time where he started to like really mature as a dramatic actor.
Yeah.
and he actually transformed his body a little bit too. He gained like 40 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
To play Jimmy Dugan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
to be quite honest, I got to revisit Philadelphia.
Another crowd pleaser.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah.
What an uplifting story.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's the movie that really departed him from being a comedic actor.
Yeah, that was definitely the first really serious role.
Right.
I wish he would come back to comedy though. He does it so well.
Does.
It's hard to be really pitch perfect in comedy and drama.
Yeah.
And he does it effortlessly.
So well. Yeah. We talked about this before though. But even like having him play an original character, like a fictional character, like because the last couple of stuff that he's been doing is just like autobiographical.
True.
Yeah.
So it's quite everything. Like if Sully,
the
Post, Disney, he's gonna be playing Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
I'm excited for that one.
I
didn't know. I grew up in Mexico, so I didn't know who Mr. Rogers was until I moved to the US and realized that he was a phenomenon. And I've never seen a full show. I've seen clips and whatever, but he's so beloved. So
absolutely.
He's great.
And Tom Hanks is so beloved. So it's gonna be
should be a good fit.
And like it's a very difficult thing to portray because it's such a beloved character. Only someone as beloved would people believe it? Like I say, okay, I'll let you play Mr. Rogers.
Yeah. And I don't think. I think I was having this conversation with you. It's not going to be a direct biography on him. It's more like a story about...
Like an interpretation?
Yeah, just like, it's about this one character who has a special connection with Fred Rogers, and, it's like his life in parallel with that. Almost like the movie that you were talking about before, like the Julie and Julia type of thing. Like
I think you mentioned that earlier.
Two lives in parallel with one another, but it's not quite a biography. Not like a Ray or something like that.
Oh, by the way, I left it off the list. Hook.
Oh, Hook.
That is on my top 3. Sure.
Spielberg?
Yeah.
I always find that kind of peculiar because I don't think that's the best movie, but
no, it's not.
A lot of people have nostalgia goggles on that.
I was gonna say that. It makes me happy, but I rewatched it recently and it doesn't hold up.
Yeah. Well, you gotta just skip the first hour.
I wouldn't.
When he gets to Neverland, it's,
you know what's weird is like Robin Williams is such a great dramatic and comedic actor also. But then you have him just play kind of like the drama bit of it, but you never let him go full comedic once he starts getting into the role of Peter Pan.
It's very interesting.
Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I think Hanks and Robin Williams, they kind of have a similar career trajectory. They both started off in sitcoms, then they started doing comedic roles, and then they delved into the drama.
Yeah, I think there's a crossover between Happy Days
what about
and
Monsters and Mazes, though?
Oh, that was one of his first movies. That was from like 1981.
They were in the same universe too, because like Happy Days and Mork and Mindy.
Yeah,
there you
same, very similar career trajectory.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. Yeah.
You don't think Hanks is
Yeah, I was gonna go there, but I didn't want to go there.
Don't you dare! Don't you
think
about it.
Although I don't want to. I was gonna talk about that, but like, there's some recent development with his Parkinson's and.
Oh really?
Yeah, he took his life because he was gonna. He had advanced Parkinson's. So.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is
so
he's
he
one of the
just
few
wanted
people
to.
like after he died, or however you want to say it. I'm not very good with words. Once he passed away, you really didn't hear anything bad about him.
Yeah.
Because like it's so easy to be like, oh, he was a prick. He liked Amy. Like anything, nothing came out about him besides he loved acting. And he loved making people feel good.
Yeah.
He was depressed. He didn't want anyone to feel like that.
Yeah.
So like that's something almost anyone could connect to.
Do you remember Patch Adams, the movie?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love Patch Adams.
It's a wonderful fictional movie.
Yeah.
Even though it's supposed to be based on a real story, because the real Patch Adams, that nothing like the movie.
Yeah.
Actually,
he said he wouldn't take a penny or something.
He didn't want to accept it because that movie promoted bad medicine. Because the real Patch Adams never practiced medicine outside of medical school. He the female who once again spoilers died in the movie. That role wasn't a female; it was a male, and they didn't love. They weren't in love.
Yeah.
They changed so much about that story from the foundation up. But Robin Williams played a great part in it.
What I respect about Robin Williams too is that even despite being a mega movie star, like he still did stand up like towards the end. Like
great.
In 02,
he never forgot his roots.
I've been
so much energy.
Oh yeah.
I've been on like a Johnny Carson kick. I've been just going through YouTube and you know, because like I'm just like, you know what, I don't remember a whole lot from when I was a kid of watching Carson with my grandma. Like Robin Williams was on there, of course. You know, he was so funny. Robin Williams, like he was quick. Perfect comedic timing. Like, it's one thing of like you sneeze and you miss 3 jokes. You know, he was God's gift.
Right.
You guys ever see Father's Day?
Yeah.
Him and
I
Billy
was
Crystal.
obsessed with that at one point.
Yeah, I'm still obsessed with it.
So good.
Such a funny movie. They had perfect
movie.
chemistry.
Yeah.
They were following Smash Mouth.
And
nice.
I really World's Greatest Dad.
That was like one of his last movies.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But like such a the
Doesn't
writing, the story was so like out there, but like he made it. Like he made the movie work.
Angriest Man in Brooklyn was
That was like one of his last movies.
Yeah.
That was good.
So good.
We just totally let Tom Hanks in the dust.
Bring back Tom.
Bringing it back to Tom.
Who's
a
up?
Robin Williams episode.
What?
You need a Robin Williams episode.
I know.
Yeah.
When is Robin Williams Day?
We'll get one.
We should make it. We'll make it happen.
So for me, it would be different. Like it's a different conversation. Which movies do I think Tom Hanks is the best, and which movies that Tom Hanks is in are my favorite?
And the ones he directed.
Yeah.
Which one?
Larry Crown.
Larry Crown.
Not that good.
Larry Crown Affair, wasn't it? Or
No, just Larry Crown.
And That Thing You Do.
Oh, That Thing You Do.
Oh,
Also,
that was good.
He
starred in that too.
Yeah. Well, he had a supporting.
That's actually pretty good.
It was Tom Hanks in a movie. He starred in it.
Yeah.
He took the whole movie away from that
was
band.
okay. But the ones that I think he's like, I don't know. So I'm gonna combine.
Yeah, do it.
Toy Story, I think, is one of the best, and his movie is amazing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, Catch Me If You Can.
Sure.
I really enjoy it. I think he's great in that movie. And for example, I don't really like this movie that much, and we can talk about it, but Cloud Atlas. I think he's fantastic in Cloud Atlas.
Okay.
Didn't
he play like 4 roles?
He plays like 75. But there's one in particular. I don't know if you saw Cloud Atlas, but there's this guy who is like a bad guy in a boat when and he's taking the money out of the guy and he's keeping him sick. And he has like this accent. He's super intense in that movie. I don't know. He was very multidimensional in that movie. I don't particularly like the movie, but I think he did a great job. Oh, I also like Road to Perdition.
Oh yeah!
Nice.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, one of the earlier comic book movies.
That's one of his
gosh.
only villainous type roles.
Yeah,
but he's so likable in that. Oh my god! I retract my pick from before. Listening to
was that Sam Mendes?
Yes.
Yeah. Who's the other guy who plays John Pope? Jude Law. Is
Yes.
Isn't Daniel Craig in that too?
Daniel Craig, Paul Newman.
Yeah,
Wow.
that movie's great, and he's great.
That's my favorite comic book movie.
Nice.
It is.
Is it?
It is.
It's comic movie.
It's a graphic
It's
novel.
a graphic novel. I know it was based on a book.
Yeah,
that's
it's a graphic
interesting.
novel. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. If I could hit the rewind button.
Yeah.
Let's
Road to
put
Perdition.
Road to Perdition. Yeah.
Sweet.
John.
Yeah.
Oh, now you get my name right.
Yes.
Steve.
Thank you. It's so hard because it's like you have his earlier stuff, which is super funny and so much fun, and then you have the later stuff, which is very dramatic or action oriented.
Right.
I mean, The Money Pit is great. Bachelor Party is severely underrated. I mean, the beginning scene is him with an egg beater. He's like, "Honey, it's okay. I'm into something kinky." And then at the very end of the movie, the last thing you see is them getting married. And he's like, "Oh wait, I forgot something." Runs off camera, gets the egg beater again as a callback. He's like, "It's legal now," and he chases her out of the church. I died. I saw that when I was 11 years old, and I just was crying of how funny he was in that.
Nice.
Joe vs. the Volcano.
Oh god.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful. That's such an underrated classic.
Yeah.
In my opinion. It's the first team up of Meg Ryan. And
Yeah.
Hanks.
Yeah. Whenever I see him and Meg Ryan, it it just works for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Sleepless in Seattle is another good one.
Yeah.
I think You've Got Mail is
You've
their
Got-
best.
Yeah, I agree.
chemistry.
I agree.
On-screen chemistry.
Yeah,
F-O-X, everyone, like the
F-O-S.
Can you spell cat? F-O.
This is a charming movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Toy Stories are great. You know, Road to Perdition is really solid
Yeah.
flick.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. It's one of those things of like, he could be in the worst movie ever, but he still won't be bad in it.
Right.
Like, I feel like he doesn't read some of the scripts.
Right.
Like, it's just like, you don't have to try this one, Mr. Hanks. Like, it's just
you can
coast.
phone it
It's
in.
just a
Just
paycheck.
appear. Just show up.
It's like, I get it. Your Ferrari needs new brakes. It's fine. But he will act as hard at, like, Monsters and Mazes, or whatever that's called. Or
Mazes and Monsters.
Mazes and Monsters. That movie was a piece of garbage. Jesus. But he acted really well in it.
Yeah.
And that's a super young Tom Hanks. He was,
You
what,
ever
like
see,
22?
Yeah, probably. You ever see The Man with One Red Shoe?
Yes. That's good.
It's a strange, like a spy comedy.
How
He's like
about,
the wrong man. Yeah.
How about
Big?
He
Well,
was
yeah, of
raised
course,
big.
Big.
Yeah.
That's
How
his
about, the lady-
star-making role.
the Lady Killers?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, I love the Coen Brothers, but
Coen
I
Brothers.
wasn't
That's
impressed by that
that's
one.
not
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah.
But he gave a great character.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
character.
Kind of like an
Yeah.
old,
Yeah, just-
sleazy Forrest
just-
Gump.
Yeah. Well, just like like no Colonel Sanders.
Colonel
but,
Smart, Colonel Sanders, yeah.
But it was like totally different for him, you know. Like, and I would love to see that type of
And
Tom Hanks.
I
Yeah.
would like to see Tom Hanks and the Coen Brothers work again.
Yeah.
Do something
Oh my
else.
God.
I think he wants to too. I went to the premiere of Captain Phillips, and he was talking about that, how he wants to do more Coen Brothers
Oh,
stuff.
that's another one where I don't love the movie, but he's great in it.
Yeah.
Like Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, the scene where he's getting checked by the nurse.
Yeah.
I believed every second of that
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, I didn't love the movie out also, but the performance was very strong.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
I would love to see him in like a comic book movie.
Okay.
Maybe.
Like a superhero.
Like
Yeah. No.
no Archie.
Road to
Archie.
Yeah, superhero movie.
He would be great in Archie though, but he was. Road to Perdition.
I would love just to see him as like he obviously I don't want to see him as like Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like an older retired hero.
Like
who's
Kurt
been
Russell
beaten down.
in Superhero High.
That is such a callback. Of only you and me saw that movie.
I didn't even see it. I just know about it. I love Kurt Russell.
Only I saw that movie.
All right, guys. So we got a few more minutes. I'll just say I love Castaway. I think that's my number one. I love The
You
Birds.
tried over volleyball, so like.
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
good
you know
movie.
which one we haven't mentioned?
Which one?
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13.
Oh my god, and that's
Yeah.
such a special movie for me.
It's a
I saw that movie with my dad. When
It has one of the
I
most
love it.
beautiful film scores ever. But that was James Horner.
Yeah.
So that's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Who directed Apollo 13?
That was Ron Howard.
No, Howard.
Yeah.
I would also love to see him in a
Amazing.
horror movie because he's great at drama,
Yeah.
and that kind of translates to horror.
Yes,
Interesting.
yeah. Notice how we didn't mention the Da Vinci Code movies.
Yeah.
Actually,
All by Ron
Da
Howard.
Vinci Code is one of my favorites too. The problem is like I guess you just came with a list and held it up to the camera of like all the things I like about Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those movies were probably his My Ferrari Needs Brakes. Yeah,
They were
those-
fun though. Like
They
Da
were
Vinci
fun,
Code
but they
was
weren't.
fun.
They weren't Hanks movies.
The last one,
you know?
Inferno, was pretty good. It was a fun.
Really?
It was,
I didn't see that.
okay.
Adventurous.
I like that one the least.
Yeah.
Out of
I like
all.
Angels and Demons the least. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was the
I don't know,
weakest
His
one.
hair is distracting.
What is up with
I
that?
know. It's like I don't know, John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
No, more like Nicolas Cage in Next. Strange. All right, guys. So a few more minutes. What do we have to plug, Mr. Clemente?
You can just catch my work on themoviechat.org. Yep, and with Andy. Andy. See, I'm doing that.
I
too.
deserve that.
There you
I
go.
deserve it.
How does
Randy.
it feel?
It's not that good.
With Randy with Under the Radar.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm working in I'm kind of like as a showrunner / producers of a show that we're trying to put together that's called Foreign Nationals, about foreign nationals living in the United States, their stories, different countries per episode. It's gonna be great. It's a great idea. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it off.
Keep us posted. Yeah.
I just realized I'm the least successful person you've ever had on the show.
No.
You can find me on YouTube at Nerdist Truth. I have a couple shows, Plot Holes, stuff like that. All fun. Plot Holes is I review porn where the porn's edited out. So
That
you
is
know.
awesome.
That's amazing.
I
That is
try.
awesome.
Nice.
I'm sure like the editing work is probably.
It is so frustrating.
That is tough work right there.
Yeah, especially with the first video because there's
life?
literally a scene with Spider-Man, and it's very not appropriate for YouTube. But there's dialogue that I thought was crucial to the movie. I'm like,
very important for
you don't know how to shoot a film. So, but yeah, you know, I review porn.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, and we thank you.
That's
for
okay.
it. Thank you, John.
I'm doing God's work.
Yes, you are.
If I could just mention, years ago, I was fortunate to have a quote of one of my reviews in a movie, a Japanese movie, and it was a Pink musical. And if you know anything about what a Pink musical is, it's a musical in Japan that is softcore porn. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes,
next on the list.
Underwater love.
I'm not gonna Google it right after this.
No. If you do Google Chris Clemente and porn,
that'll come up.
Something will pop up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Yes,
as always.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
So,
and our next interview?
Yeah, we're going to do a video interview right now. We did it previously recorded. These are the filmmakers from the new film Darcy. And this is with directors Heidi Philipsen and John Russell Cing. Here is the file.
Bye.
Wrote it, so why don't you start?
Yeah, well, it's my wife and I wrote the film together. It's based on some sort of autobiographical history between both of us. You know, every town in America has one of these sort of no-tell motels, and there was a period of time that my family and I actually lived in one for about a year and a half. And so the idea of like the prostitute family actually was something that existed a couple of doors down from us. But the film itself was inspired by a newspaper. It was a news broadcast about a protest that was happening at a motel in upstate New York, and they wanted, the prisoners to be kicked out. And, we kind of thought to ourselves, well, where the hell are these people supposed to go? So it, like everything else, it's a little bit of us, and it's a little bit of what's happening in the world.
Well, John, don't forget, too, about your, I don't know how much you want to go into that. You can delve in yourself if you want. But you also had some experiences, like with Peanut, very similar in terms of some of the traumatic experiences in your life. So I don't think you've ever talked about that before. So maybe we should reward Randy for being so kind and doing this interview with us so we didn't have to drive out there. And give him a little more.
Well, you want the tears, huh? Okay.
Let's go for the tears, John. Let's give him the whole drama behind the drama, buddy.
Don't hold back.
Well, I did lose my brother in a hit and run car accident when he was 8 years old. So that one of the scenes in the film was very much inspired by sort of that emotion and the chaos and what I call sort of hell on earth of people not having any idea how to deal with something sort of so what feels completely random, but in actuality can be traced back, when you think back on it, and you can see all of the events that sort of lined up like train cars, that ended up destroying your life.
I mean, Randy, I guess, and not to sound heartless for asking John to bring that out, the heartless blonde woman asked him to totally unveil his heart. But I think for what really touched me when I read that, it was an extremely vulnerable state for a male writer to write about. There are nuances of that. And I think so many people are like, oh, no, life doesn't really happen that way. And yet this happened to you. And I just felt that it was so raw and so emotional and so honest. I think as the producer, that's what, when I read their script, Randy, I just fell in love with it. I felt like I have not seen something like this some of them get stuck in this formulaic, something that it's a story, but you can see every turn and every bend, and with this one you couldn't.
Right, it definitely has a unique narrative style, which I really appreciated. That's for sure. Chris,
it totally. The fact that you've been mentioning that vulnerable state definitely puts some of the scenes into perspective, and that's very, very admirable for you to kind of just drop your guard like that and really show that essence right on the film. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it was a very powerful scene, and I totally see that correlation. Yeah.
I've always sort of been of the opinion that the worst things happen to you before you turn 18.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely kind of goes along in Darcy. So we survive our childhoods, and then hopefully you're able to turn those rocks that you carry on your back into gold. So that's what we tried to do with this.
Absolutely. I think it was a success. You definitely felt that weight on the character's shoulders for sure. And given the gravity of the film, why do you think that now is a great time to project this onto the world, to show the world this story?
Well, may I jump in? Yeah, I wanted to also say that I don't talk about this very often either, but I'm an adult survivor of childhood incest, sexual abuse, which is not necessarily within my own little family, but outside in the circles. And I think that's when I read the script about what happens to Darcy, although we're not giving any spoilers there out either, it's just somewhere around the ramifications of the subject. It was the most honest script I'd ever seen about a topic so complex and so hard to grasp in terms of a story. It's very easy to make it black and white, 100% evil or 100% good. And I felt that it was able to do that. So that being said, as a woman in the business for a while, I got a little tired of how this subject matter was portrayed on both ends, both towards the man and the girl, and both genders. And I felt like this one left the gray zone there for audiences to think about. And it was like walking a fence. When we started this, John, when did I optioned it from you guys? It was like 2013, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 4 years ago.
It was 4 years ago, huh?
Yep. Wow.
And back then, of course, all these things were not happening. So I just think it's, John being Aquarius and Tracy being a Virgo and my being a Pisces, it's a pretty dangerous combination. I don't know. We're really happy to see that things are being said and done. Wouldn't you say, John?
Oh, I think that one of the greatest evils that happens in this world is the domination of women. It's what holds us back as a species. And if you kind of go along the line of all of the male characters, some of them they think that they have all of the women's best interest at heart, but basically it's a series of men trying to dominate women in the film. And trying to not letting them, not letting them bloom. And Darcy is a great example of somebody that's trying to burst forth from the light, from a light that's sort of been planned out for her. And that to me is incredibly timely, and anything that we can do to talk about changing the not just the dynamic, but changing the conversation and taking responsibility as men. Just because we're not Harvey Weinstein doesn't mean that we're not part of the problem. And that for example, just the fact that Heidi and I were co-directors on this,
Right.
it was very important that we gave each other opportunity, we gave each other space, and we gave each other room. Where I would take a scene, or she would take a scene, or sometimes we would do it together.
And we had fights. I mean, we're two very strong characters in ourselves, but
Sure.
I do think now in retrospect that those sparks really lent something very alive. It's one of those things where sometimes if something's too easy, then it just doesn't have the same life to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was also being a subject matter that was close to both of us in our own way. I remember watching John and being with John when we were shooting that scene, you guys, the big climax scene at the end, which I won't give away.
Right.
And John was so over. It was almost like he was just possessed. He was possessed in that moment, and I acted in it, and nothing gave me better strength than to know that I was sort of bringing. That's what actors want to do, I mean, I did this because I really love to act, and here's these great roles, and to feel like I had done John's service in the story, it just brings tears to my eyes even now, because he was really, really taken away. I mean, John, quick question for you. Did you feel like facing those demons was good for you in the end?
When you're trying to sort of recreate a moment in your life, I think that it's a very surreal experience. And every time I watch the film, I cry. So,
especially with Lawton playing Peanut.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God, he's amazing.
And I think honestly, I think it really comes down to the fact that you have to make a film that touches you, and you'll find an audience, but it first has to be what you want to say. And Heidi gave me an opportunity to direct her in the film, and that's a very, very
Are you kidding me, John? I love acting for you.
Right. And that's a very, very complex character, because really, in my opinion, the happiest family in the entire film is the prostitute, the pimp, and the girlfriend. So
That's true, right?
Good point.
It speaks upon research. I mean, I was researching a lot of, this idea of prostitutes, and really, they're women just, I mean, yeah, they are kept by someone, but with a lot of things, they make excuses as to the reason why they're okay with that. And then everybody's trying to create their own little happiness, no matter what kind of hellhole it's in. I love the line, John, from Tony, that's like, misery has a way of making you feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Wow, that's interesting, and it's almost like the motel almost brings in that form of family and community within itself, and it's just hearing it. I'm not sure if you feel the same way, Randy, but this is definitely one of the more personal interviews that we have with connecting to the subject matter at hand, and I love just knowing how personal the story is to you guys. It just makes this subject matter even more rewarding to see unfold on screen.
Right.
And it's very important, I think, for the message, for the uniqueness that you guys are bringing to the camera. I think it should be seen to a larger audience, and I commemorate you guys for that. Yeah.
And speaking about messages, I was curious, what exactly do you hope audiences take away from the film?
What I would have to say about that is what I've already heard, audiences and in some of the reviews and some of that type of thing, and I really, really appreciated it. Somebody said that they felt like it was really a film about empathy.
Sure.
It's a film about you don't understand exactly what another man's walk is and or what another woman's experience is, and that we're all just basically trying to get by. And even though you don't justify anything in the film, these are some people that do some bad things, and they're trying not. Some of them are trying not to, but like everything else, you fail at it. I think anytime, especially in the world that we live in, that you can bring some grace and some empathy and say, let's give each individual person a chance and not just group everybody together and want to go put them on an island somewhere. So to me, that's a wonderful message. Hopefully.
Sure.
And for me, I would just say, on top of what John said, and is that well, I'll take a quick aside. We screened this in a test screening at Jeff Dowd's place in LA for a lot of his close friends.
The dude,
aka the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Yes,
and
absolute dude. Yes.
That was an amazing experience. He had a couple of women who were around my age, and it was amazing because after watching the film, they were so touched by it. They said, that exact same thing happened to me when I was a teenager. That's how and yet they were there with their significant other, and like this one woman in particular, her significant other, he said, "Oh my God, I had no idea you went through that." And if anything, it brought them even closer together, because here she was holding these battle scars to her heart and never opening up about it. And I think for me, it was about creating this discourse where we can start talking about this, because to carry that shame your whole life as a female, or as a male, because it happens to men too when they're boys, is really something that we don't need. They're strong survivors, and they need to be able to talk about it, to heal it first of all, but second of all to prevent it from happening to others.
And let's. I want to bring up my partner Tracy,
Right.
She's my wife and my writing partner. There are things that are said in that film that I couldn't say. I mean, not that I'm not capable of saying. It's just that I wouldn't say it. Like when she says that, do you remember my first time?
Right.
It can't be much fun.
Right.
And that basically every woman's first time is not a positive experience.
Well, let's also not forget that Tracy's our director of photography, so she's our eyes. And guys, we shot this in 14 days.
Wow.
With a 15-year-old child actor who is our lead, had never been in a movie before except for one short film.
Mm-hmm.
And we only had 5 hours a day, and we had a full ensemble. We had a very small budget of, I will say, easily under $80,000.
Wow.
And, we had to move quickly, we had to move hard, and that meant having a great director of photography being able to be able to take that pace and make as much as she could out of the pictures with the time that we were allotted and the money we had for the crew, right? So I think Tracy's a huge part of this. And on the other end, I also want to say that Nico Meisner, executive producer, is a huge part, because honestly, we wouldn't have made it this far with all the background logisticals of administration and money and pushing forward to get the film done without him. So it's been definitely a thing of two couples coming together to make a movie. But John and Tracy are definitely the creative core of the story, and I couldn't have done this without them being such a huge part of carrying the torch with me all this way. I mean, it wasn't one of those things where it was like, okay, we're done with the shoot, see you later. Or, okay, we're done with editing, see you later. It's like, whenever you need to get back to it, okay, what do you need? All right, let's see if we can push this in there. And you don't find that all the time. You really don't.
Incredible.
That's great.
And just going back to the cinematography, it was just a beautifully crafted movie. The shots were great. You saw upstate New York and its grandeur, right? And it was just very beautiful.
Hey, Tracy, that's not your shout.
Yeah, there you go. And that, I mean,
He says thank you.
Yeah, and John, I know, are you from Albany, John?
No, I'm originally from Ohio, but Tracy and I, we met in Nashville, Tennessee, where where we got married, and I lived there for 15 years, and we've been up here for about 8.
Okay. I lived upstate New York in Albany for 15 years. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
Crazy.
yes, and it just brought me back. So just looking
Oh no,
at
it's the juxtaposition
yeah.
between sort of like the very closed off, boxy
Sure.
hotel, motel, and
Right.
then when they go on their date at the end of the film, that
Right.
one moment, it's just like, oh, the world.
Right.
We can breathe again.
Right. Right. It was absolutely a great location. Sure. Now, let me get your opinion on this. Just there were quite a few elements of comedic relief in here and some comedy in there.
New Yorkers get better than anyone so far, which is awesome. Like, Midwesterners don't get it as well. It's crazy.
Just the fact that you have this group of unlikely people, together, is kind of, in a way, comedic in itself. And just given the nature of the film and the gravity, again, of this film, how were you conscious of the fact of trying to not make it too comedic or too dramatic in certain aspects, and how to kind of flow that together?
I don't think we ever really tried to make it comedic, did we, John? We just tried to make it truthful. I mean,
the truth.
We were really exhausted that moment where J.D. Casey, John David Casey, and I, as John David Casey plays Ali, you know that one scene with Paulina Singer where we're dragging?
Yeah. Yeah, with the wagon and everything.
It's really intense, and I actually hurt my foot and my back while doing it. And so that was all very real, because it was like, can we do another take, guys? And I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, here's the thing. I always really respect, you talk about like the Coen brothers, the way that sometimes people are just stupid.
Right.
Oftentimes people are just stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And their ideas and their concepts, and they fall back on very sort of absurdities, and they're not really aware of it. Mm-hmm. So, to me it was really important to have, sort of those moments where these characters, humor is humanity. Right. And without having Peanut, knocking on the door and asking, what this word is, of the child molester, right. As he doesn't know any better, and he's an innocent, right. And that, the audience is like, in a way, to me, that's one of the successes of the film, is that the audience's expectations are confounded of what they think that they should be feeling.
Before we wrap
up. I was curious about how you assembled this fantastic cast. How did you find Gus Burney?
John, do you mind if I take that?
No, absolutely. That's all you, babe.
So John and I have completely different backgrounds. John's is doing a lot of self-made micro budgets, and I don't think, John, you might saying that. Mine was being the coordinator on larger productions. So John was always the master of his own making. I was sort of the servant of larger pictures. And I worked on a lot of actually German international features in the Hudson Valley. And I got to know this casting director through that process, Caroline Sinclair. So when I was like, okay, I think I'm brave enough now to take on my first feature, just finally having some creative voice myself with John and Tracy, of course. Caroline, would you be there? And she was so supportive. And I have to say, we did a huge casting in New York City. We had talent coming from Gersh, from Paradigm. John, we were blown away. I mean, really, weren't we? We had no idea, because here we were, this little indie. We had we just gotten actually an investor. We thought we were going to make this thing for 5-8 days on a budget of $6,000. And next thing we know, we had we had a lot of 18-year-old girls come in, and my mentor, Catherine McDermott, who had a long career over at Columbia Pictures, she was like, do not, whatever you do. And even John and Tracy were like, I don't know, man, 15-year-old, I think we should go with an 18-year-old just because it was safer and we could work longer in the day. And but I think we were all really enthralled by Gus. Of course, we had no clue who her parents were. We didn't know. It was really one of those things where we had done all of our creative visualizations, and do you guys remember the Media Charlotte? There's this.
Heidi, they have no clue who her parents are.
Huh?
They have no clue who her parents are.
Guys, do you know who her parents are?
No. Bernie?
Oh, well, Reed Birney and Connie Schulman.
Okay.
So, Reed Birney is from, he won a Tony for The Humans, actually.
House of Cards.
And House of Cards. And then Connie is in Orange is the New Black. She's Erica Yoga Jones or something like that, right, John?
Oh, okay.
But we didn't know. We were just like, okay, who is this girl who looks like a doe? I mean, she has something really amazing.
Right.
And we fought for her, and no, I don't think we had one moment where we regretted taking that risk, huh, John?
No. And Gus just has, I mean, she's just a star. And since then, she's done The Mist, and she has a Sarah Jessica Parker movie. Paulina Singer, who plays...
She's another one, yeah.
God, I mean, she's done a couple of series since then, and I had sort of the idea of like the the classic waifish blonde crack prostitute, and she was completely different from that just because she was so incredible.
Hey guys, so we have to wrap up a bit, but I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
The film is amazing. It's great. It's well acted. It's just a beautiful film, and I just wish you guys nothing but success.
And that's our show, guys. I want to thank everyone again for being a part of this wonderful episode of Under the Radar. We'll have more show for you next Sunday, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, only on Village Connection Radio Vision. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
I'm all about